Why Leonard Nimoy hated Star Trek Generations. The late Leonard Nimoy hated Star Trek Generations, the first film starring the cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Nimoy not only portrayed the Vulcan Mr. Spock in Star Trek, the original series, but he evolved into one of the franchise's most celebrated directors after helming Star Trek III: The Search for Spock and Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, which was the most financially successful movie starring Star Trek's original cast. Naturally, Nimoy was Paramount's first choice to direct Star Trek Generations, a job he turned down flat and ultimately went to director David Carson. Star Trek Generations was conceived as the cast of Star Trek: The Next Generation's jump to the big screen and the passing of the torch by the original series crew. Paramount wanted a team-up movie where the classic Star Trek actors would appear in the beginning before Captain James T. Kirk William Shatner teamed up with TNG's Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Patrick Stewart, in the final act, which would end with Kirk's death. However, most of Star Trek, the original series' actors turned down what they felt were glorified cameos, including DeForest Kelley and Nimoy. The TOS holdouts believed appearing in Generations would besmirch how they gracefully bowed out with Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. The reasons Leonard Nimoy hated Star Trek Generations: The Star Trek Oral History, The 50-Year Mission, The Next 25 Years, by Mark A. Altman and Edward Gross, candidly revealed the behind-the-scenes turmoil involving Leonard Nimoy's cold reception to Star Trek Generations. Nimoy's beef with Star Trek Generations was about its story and characterizations. Nimoy compared Generations to William Shatner's problematic directorial debut, Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, which he preferred. In addition, Nimoy was dismayed at the way Spock was written in his intended cameo. Leonard Nimoy's anger partly stemmed from the fact that, as the intended director, he wasn't allowed to rewrite Star Trek Generations' screenplay to address his issues. Executive producer Rick Berman and co-writers Ronald D. Moore and Brannon Braga collaborated on Star Trek Generations' script. Paramount loved it because the writers fulfilled Paramount's many edicts as to what needed to be in the film. Only then was it brought to Nimoy, who was not pleased with what he read. Berman recalled,